Hello, my name is Natalie Merchant. I'm the lead singer with a group called 10,000 Maniacs. I've been with 10,000 Maniacs for 11 years. I joined the group when I was 17 and a half years old. I didn't really dream of being in a band, as I suppose a lot of teenagers do. What I expected to do was maybe become a teacher. When I went to college, I met the other members of the band. I was taking lots of basic courses to try to get my high school diploma and also my associate's degree. So among those classes was an English class. And the first assignment that we were given by my professor was that we should keep a journal and that he would never read the journal, but that it should be 72 pages long by the end of the semester. I was pretty shocked. I thought I never would have that much to say. I found that because I was a very shy and introverted teenager, that writing in a journal was a really useful way to express myself, and knowing that no one would ever read it, I was very honest about the things I put in it. And actually, when the band started writing our own music, I took some of the things out of my journal and made them into lyrics. I'll write about things that just touch me emotionally or touch me intellectually, things that anger me, enrage me, things that bring me pleasure, things that just make me wonder, why is this way? This song, Candy Everybody Wants, I wrote after I read an article in a magazine called The New Yorker by an author named Bill McKibben. What I wanted to address in this song is, who are the people who decide what we want through information and entertainment in television? Who decides what the perfect woman is, and who decides what the perfect man is, and the perfect home, and the perfect family, and all these things that we are expected to want. I don't know what kind of messages advertisers are trying to send to us, but they're pretty absurd. If you eat this candy bar, you'll suddenly feel like you're White River rafting, or if you drink this soft drink, you'll become everyone's best friend. It's very bizarre. But I think kids are seeing through all that, and I think eventually there's going to be a rebellion against television, because I don't think we're that stupid. I wrote the song Tolerance during the Los Angeles riots. I wrote a verse, this house divided, we live inside it, hates dwelling places behind our door, and fitful nights hear it walk the floor. And what I was trying to express was that racism and bias crimes originate within ourselves and within our families, and the way that we perceive each other. Many of those views are formed in our homes and in our own minds and in our own hearts, and that from inside we take that out into the streets. Every time I go to Washington, D.C., I make a pilgrimage to the Vietnam War Memorial. I wrote the song The Big Parade after the third visit that I made to the memorial. It's black granite, and the names of 58,000 American soldiers who died are carved into this wall, and they're listed chronologically according to when they died, and you walk alongside the wall and it begins with one name in the early 60s, and it just moves on and on and on, and the wall just becomes larger and larger and larger until it towers above you, and then it returns to a smaller column toward the end and back to one name. So the song The Big Parade is pretty much a description of this boy's journey to the wall and his coming to terms with the fact that his father was murdered and questioning who was responsible for his death. I wanted to make a song that just described one boy's pain, and in his pain there'd be a reflection of the pain of thousands of people. And I think of that every time I go to the Vietnam War Memorial. Many songs that I write, I take on the personalities of other people. And in the song Poison in the Well, I decided to become the father of a family who just discovered that they lived on contaminated ground. I grew up in Jamestown, New York, which is in western New York near Buffalo. And you may or may not be familiar with a place called Love Canal. But we are very familiar with it because in the mid-'70s was a suburban neighborhood that discovered it'd been built on a toxic waste dump. And people started asking questions. The song Dust Bowl appeared on a record of ours that we wrote 3 years ago. I've always been very fascinated and interested in American history, and in particular the Great Depression of the 1930s, probably because I know people who actually lived through it and could explain to me what it was like to live in a time of such great unemployment and hunger and natural disaster, and also how our government acted to respond to the needs of the people. I wrote the song Dust Bowl to describe a woman who has 3 children, and she's a working poor mother, a working poor single mother. My mother was a single mother with 4 children, and I remember how we lived from paycheck to paycheck and just how difficult it was for her. When I wrote this song, I was actually remembering that really well. I wrote a song called What's the Matter Here back in 1986. It describes living next door to a family that is very troubled and watching the dynamics of their household from a distance and feeling very confused about when to intervene and when to assume that the problems in that home are none of my business. I think in my songs I like to provoke thought and action, but I don't like to be the person who dictates what those actions should be. I have a lot of respect for my audience, and I think people can think for themselves and come to their own conclusions and decisions after singing along with me or listening to what I have to say.